My name is Dr. Jim Rice. I'm the Vice President of the Data Center Transformation Group within Sirius Computer Solutions. Just as a, well, let's see if I can actually advance my slides. Just to do a quick overview of the agenda, I'm going to go through some brief introductions, who I am, where this information is coming from. We'll talk a little bit about the drivers for data center transformation investments in the industry. And that's the primary focus of this talk today. We've talked a little bit about the mechanics of doing edge computing, distributed computing, different data center models, floor planning models. But many of our clients are going through evaluations of their data center environments. And I want to talk a little bit about what's behind that, what the drivers are. The primary focus of this is just to recap what the charter looks like for many of those data center transformation moves, consolidations, transformations that are occurring in the market. And then I want to spend most of my time talking about two of some of the most important emerging elements of charters that we're seeing come out in the market, things that are driving these transformation and providing the cost justification for these transformation efforts. So again, my name is Jim Rice. I've been in this industry now for about 20 years, about a little more than 15 of that working with BRUNS-PAK. BRUNS-PAK has been a fantastic partner of Sirius, and we really do appreciate working with them. Their diligence and quality is phenomenal and second to none. So I do appreciate the time today to share some of our experience. So there's been three drivers that we've been looking at for the clients that we are helping through these transformation exercises. Sirius is a national, actually an international systems integration company. And because of that, we've got thousands of clients all over the globe that are looking for ways to improve the efficiency, effectiveness of their data center operations. And so they very often come and talk with us about how to accomplish that. Over the last year, probably the three most significant drivers are probably no surprise to anybody. M&A, believe it or not, continues to be the largest driver of our activities. Now, it's not always an immediate M&A event that occurred this year. Sometimes this is ongoing evaluation of the data center operation supporting the merger or the segregation of companies to improve their efficiency. But M&A, just to put it in context, just in 2020 so far this year, there's been about 1.8 billion in M&A activities or M&A events in North America. It's a substantial driver for data center operations. Because as you might imagine, as hospitals are coming together, as financial services entities are coming together, they often wind up with multiple data centers. And a significant amount of the opportunity for economies of scale, for efficiency in their data center operations, come through that evaluation of the IT services that automate those business processes. And so an awful lot of our work is driven by M&A activity. In fact, even Sirius went through a data center transformation event ourselves this year. We grow ourselves both organically and through acquisition. And we had accumulated 6 data centers that we consolidated back down to 2 this year. In fact, we just did our first DR exercise between those 2 environments this last weekend. So M&A activity continues to be a significant driver for most of the data center transformation work that we're doing. So anybody that's in a business that's looking at acquisition, looking at spinning off a business, or looking at trying to reduce the footprint of their data center operations, that are providing redundant services is certainly an opportunity that we've been helping our clients with. Efficiency has also been a significant driver in our business. And I think Mike, in many ways, alluded to some of that. Many of our clients are looking at their legacy data centers and looking at the kilowatt per square foot. They're looking at the legacy racking capacity. They're trying to figure out how to integrate their traditional provision footprints into a blended on-prem and cloud solution. And so many of our clients, when they get to a point, an inflection point in their infrastructure, either an asset refresh or a data center lease, are looking to find ways to drive efficiency and cost out of their business, reducing redundancy. So many times we're spending a lot of time talking with our clients about how to rationalize redundant applications, to refactor applications to prepare them for dynamic capacity or cloud deployments. Um, Interestingly enough, we find ourselves doing a fair amount of assessment of the alignment between IT systems and business processes. It's almost surprising to many of our clients when we do an assessment of the services that are being supported out of the IT departments, how many of those services we'll find in a data center that are operating that no longer support a business process. They're just hanging around there. So when we're doing that application mapping, we're looking for those an opportunity for rationalize. We're also making sure we're rationalizing redundant applications and also applications and systems that are no longer supporting the business outcomes of the business processes. So M&A is a significant driver, efficiency is a significant driver, and efficiency is usually triggered by asset refreshes or facility leases. The third dynamic that we've seen quite a bit of this last year, I'm sure is no surprise to anybody, has been the effects of the pandemic. We've seen a tremendous number of employees working from home, IT professionals working from home, no longer having direct access to their systems, and having significant changes, not only in business volumes, business process changes, but also significant changes in the number of software licenses required, network capacity, enhanced protections for identity management and access control. And so we've done quite a bit of work to help improve the security and proficiency of the data centers that are supporting those IT operations in pandemic affected businesses. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. But these have been the major business drivers that we've seen over this last year. Whenever we start a new project or start working with a client to try and figure out, is there an opportunity to transform their data center operation to provide more efficient, more effective use of IT for their environment? We often look at opportunities for technology refresh, as I mentioned before, but also we're looking for opportunities to reduce risk. Now, risk falls into a couple of categories. There's data and security risks that most people think of immediately, but there's also environmental risks. We walked into a data center this year that it was a colo center, but it was I'm not even sure I would call it a colo center. It was a wiring closet for hire. And we walked into this environment and our clients had provisioned a number of racks and had not put the due diligence to it that Mike would have put to those racks. And we found wet pipe water suppression actually leaking and dripping onto the top of their IT racks. Immediately we found business risk in that environment, and we were able to articulate that, not just from the location of the equipment, but the class of the facility, the fire suppression, the emergency cutoff controls. There were significant opportunities for there to be a catastrophic loss of the IT environment, simply not because of anything that the IT department was doing, but because of the facilities management. And so that was an opportunity for us to relocate that data center and actually co-locate it with another operation. That, by the way, was a healthcare provider. And the last thing we wanted to do was see their entire IT operations go down in the middle of a critical surgery. So we got that moved in a fair amount of with a fair amount of haste. And of course, I think everybody is aware of looking for economies of scale. Whenever we go through M&A activities, we often find that we've got redundant applications and environments, that we have opportunities to create more dense environments or more flexible environments so that we can better align the cost of the IT services and the cost of the infrastructure with the needs of the business. So we're always looking to see what are the ratios of IT costs with the business revenues as they relate to various industries. So these are the three traditional areas that we have looked at when we're developing a data center transformation charter. When a client is coming to us and saying, is there a justification for creating a significant program or project to drive some efficiency and an ROI in how we provisioned our IT operations. So these are the traditional ones. What is relatively new for us is this business strategy alignment. This is becoming a hotter topic, and I think for two reasons. I think the cloud is driving some of this. We've got a number of applications as a service or platforms as a service providers that are selling directly to the business consumer, not necessarily to IT. And so IT is coming back or the business is coming back to IT and asking a number of very challenging questions. What is the value proposition that IT is providing to the business? How does it align with the market dynamics or the seasonal trends of the business so that we can adjust costs as our market conditions vary? Now, I think what's brought this to the forefront in this last year has been the pandemic. We've had a number of industries that have been significantly impacted, whether they're retail, healthcare, hospitality, or even the services business, that have seen significant downturns or shifts in their business. So for example, we've got a retail client in the Midwest that literally had an interesting storm of events emerged. They had both a major asset refresh that was occurring. They had the termination of the lease of the building that their data center was located in, so they were going to be forced to move. But they're a retailer, so they were in the process of shutting down all of their storefronts. But at the same time, they were having to ramp up their direct-to-consumer business. So a lot of moving parts. And this particular retailer is looking to us to help them not build a strategy, justify the cost, and actually help with the implementation of an IT operation and data center facility service that better aligns with the significant swings in their market demands. So this business strategy alignment is not something that historically IT has focused closely on. I like to refer to this as the shift in IT. You know, when we think about IT is information technology. And as IT professionals for years, we've very much focused on the technology side, the operations side, the feeds and speeds, making the lights blink. But there's a pretty dramatic shift to business value and information that's managed by IT for the business purpose and business value. And so making sure that we've got the right information in the right places at the right time for the right cost. And the business really doesn't care about the technology. They just want that information to be there. So I'll sometimes refer to that as a shift from little I, big T, focus on technology, to big I, little t. They don't care about the technology. They're just focused on the information. So that business and strategy alignment has been a significant growth area for us when we're dealing with data center transformation charters. And then the most recent, and I don't want to say this is recent, but it has been rapidly emerging and taking on more focus in the last 12 to 18 months, is a shift towards a focus on any data center transformation work that we're doing to facilitate enhanced security and enhanced compliance. We've traditionally built data centers that had security at the walls. Whether it was at the cabinet door or at the walls to the glass house, that was where our security boundary was. And our security boundary now is moving in closer to the application of the data, where we need to have integrated identity management and access control to every aspect of the application layer, data layer, and infrastructure. And that often is difficult to retrofit into a legacy environment. And so where we have clients that have significant challenges with regard to regulatory compliance or very sensitive data that they have to ensure that they are protecting, this has become a driver for re-provisioning of data center operations. We've moved entire data centers out of legacy environments, entire operations into new environments with new greenfield builds that accommodated edge security, accommodated application or micro element security in the environment. This has been driven primarily in the financial services. We've seen a great deal of this in logistics, And interestingly enough, we've seen a great deal of this in retail as well, with the introduction of all these mobile devices that we're using for shopping, for ordering systems, for tracking logistics, even seeing our business reports. We've got a highly distributed environment that's increasingly distributed in retail as well as in logistics. And that causes additional security and identity management controls, not just for the employees, but also for the consumers. So this has become a significant driver for us as we look at emerging elements of charters for data center consolidation and transformation. If anybody's been through airports lately, you've probably noticed that when you walk into an airport, there's now barcode scanners that will connect you directly to agents that are starting to do facial recognition. These are things that have traditional networks, traditional data center provisioning would be hard pressed to support. But the transformation efforts that are going on in the logistics and transportation industries are facilitating that. And so I know Mark's got quite a few projects going on in the logistics space. He's kind of a master of that, aren't you, Mark?
Oh yeah, I don't know what we're a master of, but oh yeah.
You're a master of everything, Mark. We know that. So I just, as we come to the end of my time slot here, I just wanted to reiterate a couple of quotes just to keep everybody on their toes, because we're hearing a lot of numbers so far. But it's nice to sit back and think about some of these common axioms that are probably never more true than today. If you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. And so if we always have to look for these changes in the requirements that are driving these charters for our data center transformation activities. And that's what's really driving the way we develop our data center charters and data center transformation plans. And the only constant in life is change. Welcome to COVID. Welcome to changing industry. Welcome to changing regulatory controls. But I think we've got a fantastic panel here to talk about how we can address some of those